We're talking Premier League rivalries as Manchester City and Arsenal continues to simmer despite that 2-2 draw taking place a week ago, today rather, at the Etihad. What are the ingredients then, Darren Lewis, for a good Premier League rivalry, and why are these two hitting the mark at the moment?
Well, the first word I'd use is consistency, and both of these two teams are showing it in abundance. City, obviously, with 6 titles in the last 7 years, 4 in a row, and Arsenal as the coming power, knocking at that door time and again. Terrific defensive record. We've done the numbers in terms of their improvement at set pieces. And because they are the ones knocking at the door, they rattle, and I use that word advisedly, but they appear to have rattled City's players. And I'm being specific about that because I know there's a great relationship between Guardiola and Arteta. But in terms of the players, you know, we've seen the enmity last week in the game. We saw the bust-up at the end. We saw the words between Haaland and Arteta, Haaland and some of the younger players. We saw the throwing of the ball at the back of the head of Gabriel. And I always think with a good rivalry, you're always looking to see when the return fixture is.
Which is?
February.
There you go. It's interesting, Carve, because Manchester City had a lot to say after the game. Their players had a lot to say. Are they, as Darren says, rattled? Do they see, can they feel Arsenal in their rearview mirror?
I mean, you say they had a lot to say. They had a lot to say when they were asked questions. They didn't come out and just say, we want to have a pop at the Arsenal players. You know, journalists were asking good questions, getting good responses out of them. I can't believe that we're still talking about this game a week after it. I mean, it's still back page news every day. The best thing I've read recently about the fallout from the game was in Troy Deeney's column in The Sun yesterday. And Troy Deeney, somebody who's got history with Arsenal fans. I think when he was at Watford, he accused Arsenal, was it, of being weak and soft. In his column yesterday, he accused Bernardo Silva of squealing. He also said that if Haaland had directed his be humble comments at Troy when Troy was playing, Troy would have been waiting for him in the tunnel and there would have been some action. And he finishes off by saying, if I was an Arsenal player, I'd put 2 fingers up to the world. They're no longer soft, and I quite like it. Football has become a bit sterile and boring. Everyone is nice and lovely. Is it not about winning? Mikel Arteta is tired of finishing second. He's told his players to toughen up, and they've listened to him.
And actually, I think that was the best point that Mikel Arteta made during the week was when he spoke about a game 2021 where Granit Xhaka got sent off at the Etihad and Arsenal lost 5-0. And the perception then was, well, they're a bit flaky and, you know, get a goal up, or in certain situations they will always fold. Whereas last week, you know, you can make what you want of some of the outhousery, but they stood up to City and didn't back down. You know, they were defensive, but they didn't back down in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got no issue with the way that they played. I don't even have that much of an issue with some of the delaying tactics. We've seen it a million times in football. We've seen it in other leagues as well. And Arsenal have learned that in moments like that, you have to do what you can to find a way to win. Had there been 11 against 11, actually, they've given City a real good game at a ground where they hadn't lost for 47 matches. So I don't have a problem with that, and I agree with Carve and with what Troy was saying. Arsenal right now look like warriors. They look like fighters. They remind me of the old Chelsea. They look like they're there for a scrap. If you want to mix it, well, even the old Arsenal, yeah, absolutely. But see, the difference with the old Arsenal is that it was 1-0 to the Arsenal, and then they'd shut up shop. I think there's more about this Arsenal. I think there's more creativity and invention. I think they're easier on the eye, but he is almost collecting good defenders, and they are so well drilled. And it doesn't just start at the back. The entire team is invested in making sure that they don't concede, which is why their record is so good.
We think. Let's start with Arsenal. Left it very late to beat Leicester and move level on points with Manchester City. Should mention Clinton's sort of specified that Robbie would do the running in the
100%. Yeah.
How do you assess, Robbie, Arsenal's game yesterday? Is it great character, or would they be concerned about allowing Leicester back into the match?
A little bit of everything, but I would say great character overall, because they came out 4-2 winners. I was looking at the game and watching them and thinking, Are they going to do it? Is this a big slip up? Is this a little hangover of the Man City game where they conceded, obviously, goals in the second half? And what it reminded me of was a top team just building momentum, and that's where the character comes from. I thought they were excellent in all the areas, and I'm looking at Arsenal and thinking, this is a top team because they hurt you in every area. You look to the left, Martinelli's there. Odegaard is injured. Trossard comes in.
Yeah.
To the right, Saka's there. Even Havertz is popping in with goals. I'm very surprised that from the last couple of years.
Do you like the front two of Havertz and Trossard? That seems to be what they're going with now.
Yeah, I do like it because it's slightly different to Odegaard and Havertz because I think Trossard is so dangerous because Trossard he's efficient, he's a finisher. He's brilliant, he arrives on time, he's clinical, he's efficient in front of goal. When he gets half chances, normally they go in. So he scores at the right moments, at the right times for Arsenal. So he makes a little bit of a difference, but I do like it, yeah.
Clinton, it was a match this stage last season. We were talking about this in production before the game. Fulham and Arsenal drew 2-2. Were there similarities with that game, but the difference being this season that Arsenal did find a way really late on to get those 2 goals?
Yeah, definitely. I think Leicester played well, and they were probably thinking 6 or 7 minutes away from getting a big result. But yeah, they'll be disappointed. But this is showing that Arsenal are here to stay this season. Relentless, never say die attitude, keep going to the end. Listen, they got fortunate with the 3rd goal where it deflects off of Didi for the own goal. But after that, Havertz gets his goal, and they're a good team at the moment. And Arsenal will be in confident mood. Not only the way they're performing, also with the injury to Rodri as well. Because I think the injury to Rodri gave them a huge psychological
Do you think they sit
boost.
around and it just actually uplifts the mood if you're in the dressing room, the training ground, whatever that news
Yeah,
is?
you never want to see a top player get injured. But if one of your rivals' best player, and when one of the best players in midfield gets injured, it gives you a big boost to say, how strong will Man City be in midfield? But I thought Arsenal have been excellent. The players that they've brought in that have come off the bench, all making an impact. So Arteta's doing a brilliant job.
What's your take going forward? 4 goals yesterday, Clinton. Robbie touched on it there. Trossard and Havertz sort of interchanging at times yesterday. Martinelli, first goal in 20 for him. Do you think they've got enough to score without Odegaard?
Yeah, they got enough. They're proving it at the moment. They've got enough to score without Martin Odegaard. But you want Odegaard in your team. He's the captain there. He's the talisman, one of the best players there is in the Premier League. So you need him back. But they're doing well without him at the moment. They are doing really well without him. They're creating chances. Havertz, as Rob said, he stepped up to the mark. Havertz has proved everybody wrong. He's been fantastic. Trossard is a good footballer. We know that from his time at Brighton. He's playing in that little pocket behind Havertz, and it's working at the moment. But Odegaard, when he's fit, we will come into that team and make Arsenal a better team. But it's fluent at the moment. You can't. It's still early though. When people say to me, "Oh yeah, Arsenal are favourites," never write off Man City. We're still in September. We don't finish at the end of May, so there's months to go.
What do you think? Will Man City be worried yesterday, seeing Arsenal gain 2 points on them?
Not worried, but they will be annoyed a little bit because it's one of those games that really, from Leicester's point of view, it should have been 2-2, finish.
Yeah.
Man City will be a little bit disappointed because they thought Leicester should have just finished it off. And it's 2 draws, same day, no problem, because the title race is once you get that little lead, or when you drop points like Man City did yesterday, you want the other team to drop points. And it should have been that. But it makes it more spicy. I like it.
Bookies now have Arsenal as favourites for the title, taking into consideration maybe the Rodri injury as well. What do you think of that?
Yeah, they had them even before the Man City game. They had them even, Arsenal and Man City, because of the Rodri injury. And then just because Man City dropped points at Newcastle, now they have Arsenal favourites, which you think Pep and his team are going to be bothered about who's favourites and who's not favourites, because they're serial winners. This is going to, and I said this, we're only
who's your
coming to the
favourite?
end of September. My favourite still is Man City. I still think, listen, but it's got closer now with the Rodri injury and the way Arsenal are playing at the moment. My favourite still is Man City because they got Kevin De Bruyne to come back in.
About you, Robbie, or is it someone else? Liverpool, Villa?
I said midweek that I think Liverpool right now look really... They're in a position that, are they now with Arne Slot and a little bit more possession-based, trying to manage the players' minutes instead of all the injuries they've had over the years that contributed to always missing out the Premier League? Are they in a better position now to actually have a challenge for the Premier League? I think they are.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Arsenal are the real deal. They're going to be relentless. I think they're brilliant under Arteta. And but listen, Pep Guardiola is a genius. He always finds a way. He's the best manager I've ever seen. The most brilliant tactically manager I've ever seen. And I think they're always going to be favourites. I think I have them up.
But he's right. The three of them will be close. I think you got to throw Liverpool.